Clock, would everyone please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll officially call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chuck Davis,
Here.
Councilman Mike Cooley,
Here. Here.
Councilman Bo Barker,
Here.
Terry Flutie.
Okay, we'll have a quorum. We do have a quorum. We'll move on. Approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections or changes that need to be made? Yeah, we could put it under town hall. Be an addition with the Saratoga Sun. Okay. Okay, we have one addition to the agenda. Any other corrections that need to be made or additions? Do I have a motion to go ahead and approve the agenda as read with the addition of the Saratoga Sun?
I'll make a motion. Go ahead. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of Saratoga Sun.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on. Approval of the February 4th minutes. Has everybody had a chance to go through those? Are there any corrections? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 4th, 2026 meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the February 4th, 2026 meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll move on to approval of the bills, deposits in the amount of $188,326.90. Accounts payable in the amount of $149,214.02. Transmittals in the amount of $12,655.09. And payroll in the amount of $41,616.84. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on. Any correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to items from the public, and we have Miss Ellie here with Destination Development, the Hobo Hot Pool. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Destination Development. How much of a refresher would you like? Remember all this from 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vaguely.
Okay, here we go. Destination Development was a funding that came from the State Tourism Office and went out to the county tourism councils. And what we got from the Carbon County got was some money for a destination development specialist and some money for signage. The next funding cycle is now, 2 years later, 2026. Back in 24, the town of Saratoga was submitting a recreation grant proposal to do the entire hobo pool, the parking area, trailer parking, put in an ADA bathroom, and a walkway down to the hobo pool and terrace Spring Creek. Did I miss anything, Emery? Okay. That did not go through. So now, here comes the funding cycle for 2026. And the way this funding cycle works is we submit, we being whoever, to the tourism office for Carbon County. They put it into some format, and then that board, of which I am a member, votes on which things should go to the state to see if we Carbon County get any money. Okay? So that's the background. So here's the deal. The hobo pool proposed by the rec department in 24 had a lot of really wonderful things in it. So with a little bit of help from some of my friends and using the old proposal to the rec department funding, I created 5 phases. So the first phase would be enhanced interpretive signage, which is already being done through McCall and her special group. It's called SCC, Saratoga something Citizens Collaborative, whatever. But they're doing the signage, so that's not in here. What's in here is the Spring Creek bank and walkway with a porta potty placement. So kind of narrowed it all down this is real simple to understand. Right now, when you drive into the hot pool area, there's a boat ramp, and then there's some willows, and then there's a pool, and then there's the hobo pool. And the willows are a wonderful place for people who've been on the river for a long time to hide out for a few minutes before they get in their cars. Got it? So the idea would be we just taking a whole lot of thing out of the recreation grant proposal and said, okay, what if we just fix the bank of Spring Creek from the hobo pool back to the boat ramp? Put in big boulders, make it look really nice. People can sit on it, walk on it, and take one of the porta potties that you were using over at Veterans Island and put it over where the dumpsters are across from the boat ramp. Then we won't have people peeing in the bushes, and we'll have people a place to use the river, Spring Creek, and we will also have a walkway that's ADA compliant. So people with walkers and with wheelchairs can actually go down and use those facilities. Okay? So what I need from you is permission as your representative to take this to the destination development bidding cycle and see if we can get some money.
Question on that. When you say the bank replacement, are you looking at making access from the hobo pool? Because a lot of people go down and get in the summertime, especially when the water's down, get in the little cooler water where is that gonna be part of it too? So the easy access? Yeah. Okay.
Whatever he says.
Okay. I thought it was, but I just wanted to clarify that.
So all I need is for you to say, yes, I can take this forward as your representative to the Tourism Council.
Does council have any additional questions? Nope.
Good idea.
Yeah.
If you like that one, I've got another one.
We need to vote on this one first. I have a motion to go ahead and allow our tourism board member to take this before her board to see if we can obtain additional funding to help do make the hot pool area a little nicer.
I'd make the motion to let Ellie go ahead and try to get the funding to move ahead with this project.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, moving on. That one went really well. So let me try another one. So right now, you should have this in your packet, right?
Mhm.
Right, Jen?
There.
Okay, so this is actually kind of fun.
Just pass this.
What this is here, so it's the upper picture, it's talking about the downtown Saratoga corner of 130 and Bridge. And this is a picture that was taken in 2024 as part of the STAMP study. It has artificially created, I call them bump outs, you call them bulbs. It's like, whatever, it's the sidewalk that sticks out so that pedestrians can kind of look and see where they're going. So the bump out or bulb is artificially drawn in there. But beside it, behind the woman in the blue shirt, is a sign that's not used. It's just a sign. no lights, no content. You got this, you got it. Okay, and that sign is in the middle of, one would call it bushes if you liked it, and one would call it weeds if you didn't like it. And it also had some old ties that were using to mark the space. So now if you turn to the next page, ta-da. Here is a picture of what it looks like last week, because today it has another flag. So this is the corner, thanks to so many people. I mean, there's money that's been donated, there's work that's been donated. I mean, they're not, you don't want to listen to me talk about all the wonderful people that helped make this happen. But what we actually did was we removed the bushes, we being Randy poured the concrete, Randy built the wall, Bridge Street Bargains installed the bench, the flagpole and the flags were installed with Bridge Street Bargains and some donors paying for that. And the rock with the Teens Memorial plaque on it, which is right in the front, the rock came from Jerry Flutie. Because I was driving by and it was just perfect. And so I asked him if we could have it and he said yes. And the memorial plaque was paid for by donors. So basically what I'm saying to you is look at this corner. This is your downtown now. When you come into town, this is what you see. And on or about June 22nd, what you will see is a life-size bronze statue of Teens Wolford sitting on that bench. And I say June 22nd because that's what the Foundry is saying, but but it's going to be there by July 4th.
That'll be awesome.
So that's what's happened. So then I got to thinking, well, wait a minute. If we had an improvement to the hot pool area and we have a monument in that corner, what if we also had heated sidewalks so that we could say hot sidewalks to a hot pool? And we could promote in the winter for more visitors to come and use our town. Because as you might not have noticed, but our town is a little quiet these days.
Mhm.
So I thought that this might be another project, and I thought that maybe the destination development people would like it. So I talked to Emery about it, and he said, okay, this is kind of what it would take to do that, Ellie. And then I called the people that are going to review for destination development. And they said, oh, yeah, we could really market that. We could spread that in all of our media and all of our marketing brochures and make a bigger deal out of Saratoga in the winter. And particularly this winter, if you hadn't thought about it, it would hit home. So I need your permission to take this to the destination development bidding process and see if we can get some money to help us do this.
And that's, excuse me, to repair the heated sidewalk that's there.
Yep.
Questions? The council is aware that Emery's been looking at proposals on this for the last probably 2 years, year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah. But he had a pretty good idea. It doesn't sound as good now, but anyway. It was a great idea, but cost was a little bit much, but anyway, it's some stuff he's been looking at. He was gonna present it to the council, but Ellie got in a hurry. And presented it first, so anyway.
I think it's a good opportunity if we get the money to get this long-term broken thing fixed.
Which it needs to be, if we're gonna have it, I mean, setting up there with a bunch of stuff in the sidewalk now and.
Roughly how much would it cost to fix it?
So to go hydronic, put in a whole new system and everything, what I gather from the suppliers, and then based off the concrete numbers we've had for projects in the past year, for about 5.5. But that's going to a glycol system with a boiler that we would put out back and try not to put any more demand on this hobo pool. Right now, we've got a pump on that thing all the time, or the line will freeze because it's only like 2 feet in the ground. That would be my recommendation, is we try to split these systems.
Making a standalone system.
Yeah,
which I think is doable.
We just have to find some money. And I just volunteered to try and do that.
That's what you want permission to do is,
Josh?
Just a question of clarification for me, when you're saying 5.5. You're talking 5.5 mil?
No.
I'm like, that's a lot of money.
No.
550,000, okay.
Yeah.
Just want that's why.
Yeah, sorry. Scarface, I don't.
They use abbreviations a lot, Josh. Yeah. No, we wouldn't be talking about it if it was 5.5 million. No, Ellie, you could, but with this dollar amount, yes. I think it's a good idea, at least to see.
yeah, see what you can do. If you're willing to do it, I think it's a good idea.
Well, here's what I think is so we're gonna submit some very complete paperwork that tells them this story. It will go from here to the local tourism board, to the state tourism board, or someplace in between. But it will begin to become something that's talked about. And maybe we will get some more support for this if we don't get enough in this go round. But so it's now coming, it'll become a thing we can talk about and say, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. This is our project.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just like the other one we just approved, that come up when we did that walking path study and everything. That was one of their, I think it was their number 2 recommendation, wasn't it? To fix the bank over at the hot pool there.
It was high.
It was in the top 5. It was in the last 5. I do know that, so.
Motion?
I do.
I would make a motion to let Ellie pursue this adventure as well.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much for letting me work on it.
About these rocks you speak of that will take the place of the willows,
Yeah,
how big are they?
3 to 4 foot.
3 to 4 foot.
Okay, because slightly inebriated floaters don't really care if there's a porta potty there or not, if there's a rock to hide. We might not solve anything there, but.
You will end up on Facebook.
But you know, that, and we'll talk about another restroom like we're building that
Yeah,
never forget part, but you know,
Yeah.
that all takes money and time.
yeah.
Right, and we could use that as another phase later, but I don't think there's any reason to hold this up. Waiting for us to get enough money so that we can do it all.
Yeah.
I think we can just,
Oh, it's a good idea. I was just,
thank you very much.
you know,
Thank you.
thank you, Ellie.
Okay. We'll move on to, are there any council comments tonight? Okay, we'll move on to town hall and we have the 2024-25 audit and financial report. So I'll turn this over to Miss Karina.
We sent our audit a while ago, and so attached in your packet is a final we had submitted to the Department of Audit. If you more than welcome to check that out. It went really well. Got, I think you can look over. It went really well. So that's all done with. I will give you an update as to where we are sitting as of right now. For our combined cash accounts, right now we've got $8,369,440.48. Our taxes and revenues have come in really well with what we had projected for our budget, so we're doing really well with those. So those have helped us keep everything in line with all the spending with the different departments and everything. So they're doing very well. So, have any questions or want me to do a deeper dive?
Are there any specific questions?
No, I like it.
I know we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Any question from the public on the budget? At the time we'd answer them, good. you know, I just want to explain a lot of the projects that we're doing and being done with the 6 penny money, grant money, some impact money, but the biggest key, one of the bigger keys is the interest we are making off our money. So, and I think we're utilizing it very well. You're gonna see a bill here in the police department, that's all reimbursable that we just paid on a grant that John has come back on or went back on, so things are looking okay. And it sounds like the legislators are doing okay with property tax that everybody's concerned about. There's the direct distribution, still kind of up in the air. But, you know, it went from 1.8 down to 1.2% that they were gonna give out. Now it's back up to 1.7 and they're pushing for 8 again. So I don't know where it's gonna end up at. So something's getting done in legislation that possibly help out. So are there any additional questions?
No.
No?
Okay, we'll move on to,
Can I make one?
sure.
As a part of the audit, we don't talk about this that much, and I want to bring it up. Is all of the accounting principles and our processes of how money is tracked coming in and coming out is very heavily reviewed against your general accounting principles. And the auditor is required to provide an opinion on how he thinks those are being tracked in relation to those principles. And you used to get, if you had an A+ rating or AAA rating, you get what was called an unqualified opinion, which sounds totally backwards. But they changed it to where what it's now called is everything is presented fairly in all material aspects, which is the rating that we were given in the audit. So, which says that all of the tracking of everything coming in and out is being done the way that is legally supposed to be done by those general accounting principles. So it's like getting an A+ on your report card.
Yep.
For our accounting team.
Yep.
So I just want that to be said.
And guys, they had at the WAM convention, they had a session on auditing, and the guy that presented it, like he says, you can get on the naughty list with the auditors, the state auditors. And there's a lot of municipalities on it. We have been on it for late filings and everything. But I don't believe we're still on it, but there are still a few things we need to update, and we have the attorney working on with one of the big things is our procurement policy on what departments can spend and how it's regulated and how it's managed. Gives Karina direction on, you know, if somebody brings her something, no, this has got to go before the council or stuff like that. So we are working hard on that, but the audits have come quite a ways and we seem to be on track.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it.
I'm super happy.
Any more questions? Thanks for your input, Emery. Thanks, Karina. So we'll move on and it's a Valley Pharmacy lease agreement. A few months ago, I visited with Rod Wackerman and he's gonna retire. He found an individual to take over his business. And he was discussing with me the lease of the building that they have from us up here where the pharmacy is now. Him and I talked about transfers, transferring the lease and everything. I told him I have no idea what the council's feelings are on this. I said, but it can be brought before the council. Tonight we have here an individual that's going to purchase it and he has the employees. It's my understanding the same employees are going to be employed up there. And I visited with the attorney briefly about it, but there's a conflict of interest there because she represents the pharmacy. She represents Wackerman and the pharmacy. So we reached out to another attorney to look at it and probably rather than the transfer of lease, I would say just to get a whole new lease agreement with the new owner if the council so chooses. So Brett, I'm not even going to try to say your last name. If you would come up and introduce yourself. I don't want to mess that up. I'm not.
It would be fine. It's Quinault. I guess the KV makes sense to Norwegians, but beyond that, I have no offense. And truthfully, I'm probably not pronouncing it right. Yeah, thanks for giving me a minute to talk, but I'm Brett Quinault. I own Pole Mountain Pharmacy in Laramie, and I'm under contract with Rod to purchase Valley Pharmacy here in Saratoga. Our closing date we're shooting for is April 1st. My intention is to retain all the staff and to continue operations largely as they have been. My goal is just to continue providing a reliable independent pharmacy care to the community. Yeah, so I'm very interested in working with the city to establish a new lease to keep that long-term presence going. And yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself and kind of put a face with the agenda item, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions? We just don't want to lose our pharmacy. There's a lot of people that depend upon that.
Well, I know it's great. I've worked, well, it's been a few years, but I did spend some time working there. I've worked with Robin and Sarah before, and when Rod approached me when he was talking about retirement and very much wanted to keep it independent, it was something I was real excited to hopefully be a part of. So I'm really excited to be here.
The employees are some of the best in the business.
I'll agree 100%. 100%.
Well, thank you for coming.
Well, thanks so much for the opportunity to speak.
And we'll, as soon as we get a copy of this lease, we'll get it over to you.
Super.
It'll probably read very similar to the one that we have. But that's where we're at on it right now. I'd like to, thank you so much. I'd like the council to move forward with this and do it official in a motion to go ahead and extend the lease to the new owner and with agreement. Everybody's in favor of that.
I'd make a motion to extend the lease to the new owner.
And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Sarah. And we'll move forward with like we got the Little League ball team back here, Mr. Creed.
We're back. Finally getting some snow and we're talking baseball. So, we're getting ready for our upcoming season for Little League and for Legion Baseball. We're looking forward to our Little League program again this year. I think we'll have signups going out here in about a month or so, just before spring break hits. We have a couple quotes in front of you for a couple projects there at the field. We've got 2 backstops that we need to get installed. We've talked to Cody Burdett, and he's given us a quote. I know Craig's talked to Emery quite a bit about ripping the old backstops out. We've got the one backstop is here. It's up in Carbon's yard right now. The other one's sitting up in Casper waiting for us to go get. So for advanced fencing, their quote to install 2 backstops was $6,200. And that covers all the installation other than concrete, which Craig's working with the concrete place here in town.
That's a mystery.
Valley, yeah. Working with Valley on getting concrete lined up for that. So we're just kind of waiting for good weathers, be able to get those up. Legion Baseball, we've already got 12 kids committed to playing. I think we've got maybe 2 more locals that'll be playing. And then Rawlins's Legion program is down this year. And so we might have a couple kids from Rollins coming down to play as well. So I think we're going to have probably 14 to 16 kids playing Legion C this year. And that's ages 13 to 15. And last year, I think we ended up at 85 kids in our Little League program, and we're hoping that'll go back up. Usually we're right around 100. So the first quote is for $6,200 to install a new backstop. I know Cody's done some work for the town with fencing and stuff, and he's got all the equipment to do it. So we're asking if the council would approve.
Is this part of the money that has been set aside?
So this is part of the money that's budgeted for the fields this year.
Okay.
So, and I have talked to the Woods family about the backstops and then the other item that's on the agenda as well, about getting new backstops in and then also cleaning up the parking on the west side of the north field.
Well, that'll do nothing but make it more attractive and everything over there.
Yeah, and those, we went after a couple of grants to afford to get the backstops. And like I said, and that's, you know, on the south field, one of the poles is cracked and you got balls getting stuck in the fence because the fence is overlapping on it and all that. So the backstops will be, I think, about 4 foot taller. I think we're going 20 foot tall instead of 16 foot tall. And so they'll be, I think, 6 foot in the ground. And so
Are they gonna have a bit of an overhang out?
we're not. So we had Craig looked at it and he's like, you know what, that overhang, he was doing his engineering stuff that Emery probably understands better, you know, talking about the angle. He's like, you know, if we're up another 4 foot, that should alleviate a lot of the issues just because our fields aren't quite big enough, you know, to have home base far enough away from the backstop. And so that overhang kind of limits that foul ball issue. So we decided if we go 4 foot higher, we think that should alleviate a lot of the foul balls going over the backstop. My understanding is if we need to add that on later, we probably can, but our home bases are set so close to the backstop, you know, if like when we're up in for Legion, when we're in Torrington or Wheatland or whatnot, I mean, if there's a pass ball, it's a long ways back there and the catcher's busting his butt. So when everyone's playing here, it's a little trickier stealing. So.
Okay. Do I have a motion to go ahead and approve this bill for this advanced fenced estimate for $6,200?
I'll make
Phil.
I'll make a motion to approve the $6,200 advanced fence estimate for the Little Leagues.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Perfect. Thank you. And then, so then the second quote there is for a little over $1,000 for crusher run base. On the west side of the north field, if you guys have been over there, especially after we've had any moisture, it's turning into a mud hole just with how the property sloped on the woods as it comes down right there. So Craig's gone with Emery and has talked about hauling some fill in there to try to get that at least leveled out a little bit. We can't raise it too much because then we're going to be sloping into that north field. And then what we'd like to do is have the town bring in some fill to get it brought up. And then we got a quote from Latoga Aggregates for $1,000 to come in with some crusher run base there to kind of hopefully get it kind of leveled out and to where it's a better parking deal. Like I said, if it's wet, you always get a couple yahoos in their trucks ripping through there and making things worse, you know.
that's where your batting cages are too.
Yeah, and our batting cages are over there and that's, so when it's real wet, I mean, it's a mud mess just trying to get into the batting cages, so.
Council's feelings.
I'd make a motion to move ahead with that. Give them the money for that.
Purchase of the gravel for
Yeah.
$1,053.20. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Awesome, appreciate it. If you guys have any questions about Little League or Legion.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Creed.
Looking good over there. Okay, we'll move on to the Saratoga Sun. If everybody remembers, last meeting, we tabled this conversation, but I've had a discussion with Josh and, basically they're going to, and we named them as our official paper. They're going to go ahead and use the rate that they used last year of $9 per column inch rate. And we have it in writing. So, I want to thank Josh. Do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
If you'd like me to come up and talk.
Sure. Sure.
I do want to apologize to council for not having been in attendance at the last meeting. Unfortunately, one of the downsides of small town journalism is you can't be in multiple places at once. And on top of that, I want to apologize for the confusion with what was submitted for the last meeting. We did want to keep that $9 per column inch with most advertising agreements, we usually try and have like a particular dollar amount. That way people kind of know what they're trying to budget for. As Mayor Davis said, we talked earlier today. And it just kind of proved to be easier rather than trying where you guys can guesstimate, oh, what are we spending on advertising, public notices, et cetera. Just to say, okay, $9 per column inch. Obviously we're all aware of the impacts that the legislature's past decisions have had on property taxes and how that's hurting budgets all over the state. And so, even with rising costs and stuff like that, we want to do our part to help you guys continue to be transparent, notify the public as best you can through your public notices, ordinances, closure advertising, et cetera. So.
Are there any questions for Josh?
Nope, this is pretty
Well,
clear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let the paper know we appreciate everything they do for us and we'll move forward from here.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Josh.
Okay, we'll move on to, we're under town hall. We'll move on to the police department. Mr. Chief.
Mr. Mayor, Council. I have 2 invoices for you tonight, as the mayor alluded to earlier, both from Comtech. These are items that we discussed and voted on a couple months ago, I think at this point now. But the first one is for $11,442.12. This was for the upgrades to the portables to have the UHF to be able to speak to the mobile repeaters that were installed in the vehicles. Included in this invoice is the labor for the technician and the travel time. So for this first invoice, I'm looking to get approved $11,442.12. And if you want me to go into depth on the, I was gonna do it afterwards, but okay.
No, I want you to explain that this is reimbursable on that.
Yeah, so yeah, I was gonna cover that afterwards. This is all being paid for out of the 2023 State Homeland Security grant. It was secured by Chief Lear and Sergeant Christian at the time. This was originally money that had been earmarked for upgrades to dispatch, which is kind of unnecessary at this point. So I talked to them. We were able to change over to using the funds to fix the radio equipment that we have now for speaking with county dispatch. And I got the grant extended 6 more months to be able to get this work done and submitted. So everything will be reimbursed 100% on these 2 invoices.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's
Really
good.
working much better.
They are. Yep. All the work was done last week. Mobile repeaters worked great. And the other thing we're working on is the, what's called Smart Connect was put into the portables and into the mobiles to where when we don't have radio connection, because we're kind of in a WyoLink hole down here in the valley, it switches over and works through LTE cradle points that we got with our dash camera systems from Axon.
Great. Okay, any questions about the invoice in the amount of $11,442.12?
No,
I will take a motion to go ahead and approve this.
I'd make a motion to go ahead and approve invoice 94239 in the amount of $11,442.12.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Your
Thank
second
you.
one?
So this next one was for the Smart Connect I was just talking about, which is where the radios switch over to the Wi-Fi connections, which allows us to have our portables when we're inside. Right now, we have them set up to connect to our vehicle hotspots on our portables, or we also have both schools' Wi-Fi is installed into them, the hospital's Wi-Fi installed into them, and the community center, any place where we get where our portables might not be able to talk to our mobile repeaters because of just the structure of the buildings. And then this was also added into our vehicle. So we did 6 of the portables instead of all 12, which had the UHF repeaters added, just because there is an annual cost to them also. And then we did all of the vehicles have this in them also. So the vehicle radios, if they lose connectivity, switch over to Wi-Fi also. So we pretty much always have communications this way. And so this invoice came to $5,487.60. They broke it down. We did have to get some antennas for the vehicle. So there's 6 antennas on there for that. We've got the 6 Smart Connect upgrades for the mobiles. and then the tech's time and his drive. And so for this invoice is $5,487.60. And again, this is covered by that same grant. We'll get reimbursed 100%.
Questions? Or question?
Sure.
They take care of all this in the same trip?
No, because they didn't have all the plugs from the state yet when he was able to get down for the first trip. And the second trip because the first trip was, I think it was.
I was just wanting to make sure that they weren't charging us twice for one trip.
No, I had him get down and the first thing he did was the UHF plugs and the Smart Connect into our portables. So we had that going initially. Because then what we were doing is when our mobile repeater or our mobile vehicle radios weren't connecting, we could just use our portables off the Wi-Fi in the trucks. And they were still waiting for the state to finish the plugs for the vehicles. And so then he came down like a week and a half later and did those.
Oh, you did have to make two trips.
Yeah.
I just seen the date of the invoice was the same, so that was the only reason I asked.
Yeah, because I just got them to invoice them out before my deadline for that grant, which happened to be when they were finishing the vehicles that day.
Any additional questions? Have a motion to go ahead and pay this invoice? That will be reimbursed.
I'll make a motion to pay this invoice.
Have a motion on the table to pay the invoice, 95,903. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sir?
Thank you. The other thing I have is Officer Paul's completed her training. We picked up a couple shifts coming up this next week on her own. So she is all done. And we were letting her fly. We've been busy last couple of weeks. First part of the year so far, our DUIs have picked up. We've actually had 3 DUIs in the past 2 weeks arrest. That's getting up close to what we had all of last year already just this year. And next week I will be gone Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning. I will be gone to Cheyenne for the Wyoming Association of Chiefs of Police and Sheriffs meeting. And we'll be meeting with the legislature Thursday morning on some House bills and Senate files they're trying to pass through.
Good. Give them
That's all I
hell.
have. What's that?
Give them hell. They need it.
We're trying. One of them, the governor's vetoed twice and the sheriff and chief been against it every time and it's back again this session. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for John? Okay, we'll move on to the fire department. Creed, do you have anything? All right.
What's that stuff? Not asking for any money though.
We like that.
So just want to give you guys an update on the fire department. In January, we had our elections and our officers pretty much stayed the same. Chief is Pat Walliser, Assistant Chief is Tom Westring, Captain is Nick Carey, and Lieutenants are myself and Marcos Zaragoza. We did have one firefighter attend midwinter up in Riverton last month. Said it was good training, brought back some good stuff for us. Our food drive from just before Christmas, we had 43 total deliveries, I think, which was up just a little bit from in the past. We had a lot of support from the local churches, Valley Foods. We had Bridge Street Bargains, all did some financial donations, which helped with that. So that was a good success again this year. The ladder truck, the new drive tires are installed on the ladder truck. That was paid for, I believe, last month. And then we finally got our AED in for the ladder truck. So we've got, I believe, everything to have it compliant for ISO and all that. So it's ready to roll. Training every Wednesday. Right now, I think we've got 30 guys on the roster. So we're training every Wednesday. Tonight, they're actually up at Carbons doing training with those guys with, power and making sure power's down, if lines are down, whatnot, and what the electricity can do. So they're burning hot dogs up there, I guess. So, but other than that, we don't have much. Just wanted to stop in and see if you guys had any questions for us.
No, but thank you for the report.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to the recreation department. Carter is absent tonight. Emily is here. So would you please provide us with your report?
Thank you. So we just finished our co-ed volleyball season, which went really great. K through 5 basketball registration is out and it is due February 27th. We are currently painting the pool, so that's great. It's very white.
The
The
pool or the
interior,
inside of the building?
the inside,
Okay.
it's very white, which is great. It's all one color. And then we just started getting our softball committee together. We have 2 so far. Hopefully that helps with some of those conflicts from last year. And that's it.
Okay, would you explain your Pee Wee basketball team again, who's coaches and who's all involved with that? They're gonna do assessment, that's
I
correct?
have 6 people that have agreed to assistant coach or coach so far. We only have 30 kids that we know of. We haven't gotten encampments yet because they told us not to come till they had more. And then we have, so on our committee, we have Mandy Moon, Jacoby Marich, we have and a couple other encampment coaches, and then Logan Wright that's helping out. And they're super great. We're getting a skills assessment together. So we will be doing that. Jacoby's volunteered to help, as well as I'm not sure who the other one they volunteered a couple hours ago. Yeah, I think it's gonna be great.
Okay,
Hope we can get the kids all.
and where all did you put the registrations? I wanna make sure this gets out. That how they can get about registering.
So we have flyers up. We can print them out for you. We have them on Facebook. We have QR codes on there. Just scan the QR code and it'll take you right to the flyer and then you can print it out and fill it out.
Okay,
And then to bring them to us, you can bring them to the school. The school's been collecting them as well.
has the school sent some out?
Yeah. And we sent like text messages out, so all the parents got it, and then we sent flyers out to all the kids.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No more?
Thank you very much. Okay. And that shouldn't be there. Anyway, we'll move on to Department of Public Works, Mr. Penner.
Sure, Penner.
Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna, before we get into these business items, I wanted to give an update on a couple of things, and I wanted to touch on one thing more on a higher level than anything else. With all of the talk about water shortages and snowpack being so low, there's a lot of municipalities in the state that could be affected by the call on the Platte River. That is an agreement between us and Nebraska that was settled by the United States Supreme Court back in the 40s, and it's had a couple of amendments since then, which when water gets slow, older rights are prioritized and younger rights are shut off. Fortunately for us, when they switched over to the well field, there were a couple of studies that were done by the Wyoming Water Development Commission that illicitly stated that we don't have a direct effect on the Platte. So we are not going to be affected by that call, which is a huge benefit to us. Obviously, water conservation things are still important. Wells are in a formation, sandstone formation, a long way away from any alluvial groundwater adjacent to the river. And so we are in contact with state engineer's office, ensuring that they are aware of our stance and they have concurred with that. And so we'll just monitor our water usage and report that back to them, but we are not going to be directly affected like some of these other communities are with that call. I wanted that to be, I've seen there's some articles in the newspapers and stuff that have touched on that. So I wanted to get that out there as to where we sit in relation to those things. Do you guys have any questions on?
That's been clarified through the state over there. Yeah.
Yeah. And those studies were super important that they did when they developed the well field, when it was put into service. And then in 2019, they did an additional water planning study, and it all touches on that.
Thank you very much for that, because I've been asked about it and I told her what little I know about it, what we've talked about. So
if you guys don't have any questions on that, I am gonna move into this first business item. The property contract that we offered Danny was, I guess he was good with it, but there is some disclosure and things that we need to put in there because he does have a realtor at this point that he's signed with. So we added those disclosures. And then as far as the slab goes for the buildings, I was under the impression that that would probably remain. And he was also, so we just more illicitly wrote that out in there while you were making these. Instead of having multiple documents coming from them and coming from us, me and the attorney thought it would be cleaner to just add those in the original offer. And so that's what is in there. Those are the only changes. And they have reviewed it. They're good with it. So the resolution said any changes, even though these are almost what I'd call a de minimis change, they need to be approved by you guys in a meeting. So Tim made those.
Are there any questions for Emery about the changes?
No.
What I'd like to do is call for a motion to approve this new lease agreement. Purchase agreement for the property and we won't use the old one. We'll use this one. The other one has not been signed by everybody anyway, so that's what I would like to do. If I could get a motion to go ahead and approve the real estate purchase offer in the amount of $800,000.
I'd make the motion to go ahead and move ahead with the new property contract, purchase per contract.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Perfect. All right, so we'll get all that signed up tomorrow, and then I'll run it up to First American and the earnest money and order. Cool.
Okay.
It's exciting. Number 16, I'm saying too many times. The Lake Road update. I had a meeting with Candace and Lester from the County Road and Bridge Department about the Lake Road, which compromises of what looks to be a county road and then kind of a long county road / our road / driveway through the lake. And we are all aware that it is the surface is in very rough shape. The road overall, as far as the crown and the structure underneath the surfacing, is actually pretty stable. It doesn't frost heave real bad. It doesn't slough off. But the surfacing is pretty rough. When the Gateway West projects and the Trans West projects for the impact funding were submitted, those included money to do some reparations on that road. So I met with the county and kind of went over 3 options that we could move forward with. If they'd be willing to kind of partner on that, help us out, hauling material, grading, blading, rolling, all that jazz. And what we settled on we had a mill and overlay option, which would be basically us coming in, hiring a contractor to come in and mill the whole thing to a grade and then pave it, which we would probably do the paving. They'd help us haul asphalt. That was kind of option 1. Option 2 is what we called the cap and chip solution, which would be us and them working together to put a 3.5 to 4 inch cap on the road going from the highway to the lake, and then a short run of that County Road 301 heading towards the county shop. So that was option 2. And then option 3 was to use a road reclaimer, shape that, compact that, and then try and chip that. After discussing with them, their historical success with certain methods and mine as well, and our resource we had available, we settled on option 2 would probably be the cap and chip method would probably be the best solution moving forward for that road. We don't want to get into anything under the surface level because it is good right now and we don't really know what's in there. There's a combination of rotomill and road base and fill. And so we want to just stick to doing that surfacing. So we would use our crushed asphalt and then some of the material that Ryan crushes, Latoga crushes here in the future, and then get hopefully somebody like BPI in here later this summer if they're in the area. Craig sent me the landfill road apps, and that would be the cheapest way to do is do a double chip and a fog on it. So I think it's a great partnership opportunity. They're good with it. So I think we've worked forward to get the cap done. And even regardless, if we can't get it chipped this year, we can grade that cap. That cap can be smoothed out and then chipped next year. But it gives us something to work with, make it better, and it's a maintenanceable option until we can get it chipped. You guys are good with that, we'll move forward with the cap. And then once we get that in, we'll start looking at chip options.
Okay. And any idea about what this
So if we take,
might cost?
if we take the numbers off the landfill road, it was a little over 60 to get that done. That's about half the length of what the Lake Road is. So I would say a rough number was 150 to 165, and that gives us a little 10 to 15% contingency for the chip. And then
Okay,
the material to cap probably around 14 if we figure our cost is what we paid to crush it.
okay.
So it's way cheaper than having somebody pave it. Way cheaper than having somebody do all the shaping, and I think that's a good solution to that road. The landfill road's holding up great.
And I think it's a good solution too. Plus it needs to be stayed on top of, when something happens. So. Do I have a motion to go ahead and move forward with the repair of the Lake Road
I'd make a motion to move ahead with repair of the Lake Road.
using option 2?
Yeah, option 2.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Okay, circling back to our property selling that we discussed at the last meeting, and we tabled it to do some investigation on buyers' opinions of that, or brokers' opinions of value in lieu of appraisals. I did do quite a bit of research and developed, I think, a pretty good stance on that. We can most likely do that. I did give it over to Kylie. She agreed that it was a good synopsis, and I'm kind of waiting on her final determination, but I think that's the route we can probably go. So I do want to wait to button that last little bit of conversation with her, and then I'll get some figures on the cost of those, and we can probably move forward at the next meeting with getting some of those appraised, or not appraised, getting the broker's opinions on them. If we go to trade property, there is some language in there that would elude. It does illicitly use the word appraised. It's not defined anywhere, in real detail what they actually mean by that. But if we go to trade, that may trigger an appraisal. But I think if we're soliciting property for sale through open bid, there's not a lot in there that would elude that it has to be an actual certified appraised value. So this is gonna save us a pretty big chunk of change.
that'll save us a lot of money.
So,
Do you want us to give you permit? Well, you're moving.
No,
We kind of did that in the last council.
yeah, let's just, I'd like to get that conversation wrapped up, Kylie, before we.
Oh, I'm sorry, Randy.
Well, I have a question, and it involves a couple of different hats that I wear. As number one, would you anticipate taking those buildings down and then offering that property for sale? Or are you gonna try and leave those there and hope to establish value to those buildings in your value to sell that property?
Are you talking about the river
Yes.
property over here? To me, if we can get Brownsfield funding to remove those, I think that's the better option.
Well, part of the reason I ask is chairman of the landfill board. I will need to make some pit space for you.
Yeah, that's all a part of that coverage.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, and I think that they're gonna help us out with that. Brownsfield, we can get some funding for that.
And that's all I'm not looking for a commitment. I'm just looking about how you might be leaning.
Right. Yeah.
That's great. That's what I would do if I'd take them down.
Yeah, I just don't, if I'm looking at doing anything, even buying that property, to me, those are probably more of a liability than an asset at this point.
Thanks.
I would agree too.
So no, I mean, sorry.
And the final decision on that, it's not 100% that we would sell that piece of property. That has value to the town in a lot of ways,
But we do need to get it cleaned off and,
But we do, yes, it needs to be cleaned up.
The buildings are a liability at this point.
yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we'll just, we'll just wait till the next meeting, and then I'll have some prices and a map showing what properties we're gonna get the opinions on and whatnot, but I'd like to get that last little bit of that conversation wrapped up before I feel pretty good about it, but I am not the attorney.
Okay, thanks, Jeffrey, on that.
A couple other things, park bids for Never Forget Park, those will be due next week, so we'll have hopefully some award recommendations at the meeting in March. We are continuing planning and prepping for Elm Street. The design for under the highway is about wrapped up, and I think we got that all logistically figured out. We're doing some work up at Kathy Glow to get prepped to clean up that parking lot and hopefully get it re-asphalted or this summer to make that a little bit nicer looking. So those are kind of things we have been working on, as well as continuing the design and all the legal aspects of the sewer project going across the river.
And I want to throw in, they've been working at Never Forget Park. Too.
Yeah.
Getting it ready for, so when the bid is awarded on the landscaping, and the concrete work, that's pretty much wrapped up. They've been pretty busy.
Okay.
When is bid opening?
Next Friday, 2 p.m.
Thursday.
The 26th, 2 p.m. Yeah. Yeah, Randy.
Say, I thought you took, you have an engagement in Rollins Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Not everybody else has my schedule.
All right.
Moving on to the planning commission, at the last meeting, McCall put out a poll to determine what they would like to focus on moving forward. There was 3 competing items, and I would say the first one that anything that they could do to help or plan for the future of that property over there or help us get out of there, they were for, which for them right now, unfortunately, at this point, it's just kind of there's nothing for them to really participate in as a commission. And then the second one was town cleanup, nuisance enforcement conversation, which I think comes up in the alleys and the backgrounds of all these different groups and how there's areas that we can clean the town up and we need to do this and we need to do that. And I would agree. It's just getting everybody on the same page to understand at what level we are all on the same page so we can all move forward in step. Wasn't a discussion of making sure everyone's grass is 6 inches instead of 7, not like that. And that included a talk about following through with the town cleanup day and offering our best foot forward, my guys, get some volunteers on the planning commission, get that completed this year, and then start making an incentivized effort to have people engage in that process, whether that looks, like enforcement, assistance, whatever that is. But if we come with our better foot forward and give people an opportunity to help us and for us to help them, I think that's a good first step. And then we look at following through with some different actions after that. But we do need to start taking steps forward on that front. I know it's a messy conversation. One man's junk is another man's treasure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But even the most of us that love antiques and collectibles and everything else, that stuff, when it's organized and it's cleaned up, it is fine. It's all of the other things. And we all know the refuse and the garbage and things that need picked up and organized. And we have got to start making an effort to move towards that. And whatever creeping forward, toe touching totality that looks like.
Okay, well, number 3. Oh, Emmerich?
I think that's something they have to that in on the landfill. So our cleanups days are generally the first weekend, which looking at my calendar on my phone, May is March 2nd and 3rd. So it'll actually be in Saratoga. It will be Friday, March 1st and Saturday, March 2nd.
March or May?
May. I'm sorry. May 1st and May 2nd in Saratoga, May 2nd and May 3rd in.
Okay.
we will, Don's on my board, we will be discussing that this coming meeting,
This is March.
which is in March 4th, as a matter of fact, yeah.
Yes, Josh.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Josh?
And then on, kind of add to that, so the Saratoga Beautification Subcommittee, which is a subcommittee of the Saratoga Upstanding Citizens Brigade or whatever we've called it. There have been discussions about helping out around that time as well. So I believe Susan March has been the one that's kind of been helped head that one up for McCall. So as we get closer to that point, there was a discussion we had before we kind of went into slumber for the winter to help with cleaning up and kind of saying, you know, in a similar vein of like, are there people who might need to get stuff to the transfer station for those cleanup days? How can we get volunteers around to help out? So.
Right, and that's part of it's reaching out to multiple groups and having, many hands make light work.
The landfill will advertise 2 weeks in front of that, and generally speaking, when we have responsible people in city government, we advertised that if you needed help with a heavy item or something you didn't have a way to haul, to contact your nearest town, which would be Saratoga, Riverside, or Encampment, or municipal help in moving some of those things. So we've had an informal agreement with city council and stuff on doing that, but I don't know that anybody's used that in the last 10 years.
And that's what I would be for doing. If we need to bring the backhoe over and throw it in the dump truck.
Our advertisement for the last 20 years has never changed. It says that right in there, so we might even impose upon the newspaper about a news article that would explain that.
I agree. And I think that would be a big.
Very good point, Rand.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we do put that out there. We do that with the subcommittee now when they go pick up around the hot floor or something, they leave bags, we go pick them up for them,
Yeah. No, I think we're gonna do it this year and try to make a big effort, get it out, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't want to see it get to the point where we're pitting one neighbor against another and you're pretty soon you got the whole town in an uproar, I understand cleaning up the one stuff, but it's like you said, my grass is 6 inches tall, so yours has to be 6 inches tall.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Not, okay.
We're talking about that. We're talking about the couch that has a cat in it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Joke's on you, Mike, I don't have grass.
Yeah.
For the dead truck sitting over here on the Elm Street with for the last 3 months.
Have that.
Just some of the things I.
Yeah. Me too.
But I don't want to be discouraging in a way that, devalues people and their things. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do.
No, none whatsoever.
All things happen, things come up, patterns happen, but we all work together to start a process moving forward.
And it has been done in the past where pictures were posted of what the town looked like and, that's not what we're after.
No.
That's not what we're after.
So that was kind of 2 and 3 were kind of tied together is pretty much what it was. So there's no further planning and zoning. Although the other one was to look at the zoning on Bridge Street and make a, consolidated effort to see what the long-term plan is there.
Yeah. Anything else with the planning? Water Sewer Joint Powers Board?
Nothing.
Does anybody have any questions for Emery?
And Emery and I talked about this a little earlier today. I just wanted to bring it up in public meeting and kind of falls both under planning commission and public works. So no, planning commission went through the process of getting updated signs for the entryways. And as most people may or may not know, is the signs were there previously were handmade by Keith McClendon. So kind of a suggestion I made to Emery is, you know, if the town is looking on what to do with those near and dear to East Hart, just, you know, through all the various multiple name changes it's had. And so if like there's any, you know, consideration of auctioning off like one of those signs, funds could potentially go for them to get, just wanted to put that out as an idea.
Thank you, Josh. And I've been approached by a couple of people asking what we were gonna do with the old signs. All I know is we have them stored at this time. We haven't really talked among ourselves on what to do with the old signs, but they're not gonna be destroyed. So. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Anything for Emery? Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Emery.
Okay, we'll move on to the Recreation Committee. Mr. Barkhurst.
There was a meeting on Wednesday night, an open meeting. Some people that are here tonight were present at that meeting with the Boys and Girls Club. They anticipated to have more of those meetings as they move forward. I would encourage people. We had some really good comments the other night from some people that brought up some things that maybe hadn't been thought about. And I would encourage people to attend those upcoming meetings. Because it really helps them and us decide what it looks like moving forward with that, whether we move forward with that or whether we don't move forward with that, or we go a different direction. And the more comments helps to facilitate a sound decision with that. So I just wanted to mention that. Randy was there the other night. He brought up some really good points the other night that, like I said, some of us hadn't maybe thought about. So that's about all I have. The next meeting's here at the council chambers on March 2nd at 6 p.m.
Thanks, Bob. Just to add a little bit to that, they are going to be sending out mailers. They have a QR code. I don't know how you get a hold of it. They're gonna send out a survey on this, so I encourage people to look at the survey, answer it truthfully, and because that'll help too, where this goes.
I did find a survey the other night on Facebook also.
Oh, did you? Okay. They said they were gonna post it in numerous places, so thanks, John. Any questions for Mr. Barker? Okay, we'll move on to the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board. Ms. Brenda. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
See you guys.
Our mayor and Craig Lopez were at the airport board meeting to discuss the connecting of the hangars into the sewer and what that would cost, estimates on that. David Worthington talked about the flag placement at the airport and snow fence needing repair and minimum standards needing to be rewritten. Was discussed. Our engineers discussed the pavement maintenance project that's going to be happening through YDOT, the master plan, and how they'll be having a public meeting in the next few months. Larry discussed landing fees for January. They were $3,850, which is slightly down from last January. And that was about it. It was just.
Okay. Any questions for Brenda?
No.
I just have one little comment on that is, and not to put anybody on the spot, but if you have questions or concerns about the airport board, you go to the board members, okay? You do not call the engineering company direct, because we don't know if we're getting billed for that, but that's for the board to decide, not for individuals to go directly to the engineers. That's strictly for the board to go. And that's why we have a board. You bring your concerns to the board. If they have problems, they bring them to the council, and we want to keep that chain of command intact. It's the only comment I have. Okay, no further discussion on that. Their next meeting is March 9th, 2026, 3:30 here at the town hall. Okay, we'll move on to South Central Emergency Medical. Steve?
Hello, Steve.
Steve.
How are you?
Mayor, thank you, council. Thanks for your time. Nice to be back. It's been a little while.
I just have a couple of things. We had just to follow up on the Rural Health Transformation Fund, $205 million.
Jesus.
And for this year has been awarded to the state of Wyoming. So there's a lot of money at stake here to try to get a hold of. And at Schwimms, we're trying to do the best we can to do that. So there's been no dispersion. I believe the Department of Health had to reapply. They had a couple things on the original application that they needed to correct, but it's nothing major. I would say by the end of March, they'll start taking RFPs and RFAs, requests from people about where they should put the money. And we'll be definitely writing a letter to them for that. Been in contact with Hans at the Department of Health. Super nice guy. We'll be communicating via email. He's going to shoot me some emails to try to give me as much lead time as possible for any of that obligation or where that money goes and what I need to do to try to get it. Schwimms, what we need to do. So that's an exciting thing as we get closer to that disbursement. We recently extended an offer to David Clegg. He is one of the guys we're interested in for a new director position. He's from Hell, and we interviewed him quite a while ago, and we created a letter to offer him the director job. So we've not yet heard back. We just decided that on Monday.
Where's he out of, Steve?
Utah. I can't remember what town, but he's been a paramedic for 35 years. A lot of teaching experience, a lot of ambulance experience. So we're excited to try to.
What about management experience?
Yeah, he's pretty well versed on the legislative side of EMS, which is one of the other big reasons why we were wanting to get him. He is very knowledgeable in the way of writing grants, as well as managing people, and he's done not as much time volunteer side as he has, hourly folks, but he has managed some volunteer services in the past. So we're hoping that we can get him on so we can get a little bit more motivation on the volunteer side. We got a lot of different plans for him if he accepts the job. So.
Now that director's position, that's a paid full-time position, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's not a great paying gig, but it is a full-time job, and they do have a pension through the state of Wyoming for EMS as well. So it's got a couple benefits on it as well. So.
My question to you is, I hear issues about the ambulance service, and I hear good things and I hear a lot of bad things. What is going on with the ambulance in your eyes?
We're initiating conversation. I had a really good conversation with Chief Rutherford. I think it's just a matter of getting out and spending time with folks and explaining what we're doing and how we're doing it. There's a few things each municipality rep is working on currently, as far as the Rural Health Transformation Fund, but that kind of mirrors the things that we want to try to build in each community as far as how we're successful, the pros and cons of the ambulance. I would say our biggest issue right now is just getting ACLS providers, paramedics, EMTIs. We want to be able to be a resource for North Platte in terms of transfers. It's hard to do that when you just have EMT basics. We do have some folks, including Mr. Chief, that's going through an EMTI class currently, as well as our current interim director that's going to be an EMTI. Those upper echelon licensures is going to help quite a bit, with 911 calls, but also with transfers potentially with the local facility. All in all, when you look at a hybrid EMS system like we have, it's extremely difficult to motivate folks, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's the volunteerism isn't like it used to be, and this is statewide. we're noting that, we have a 27 volunteers. We have 3 paid folks right now. We're recognizing the shortfalls, discussing money, because unfortunately, that's a big deal for people who have jobs somewhere else to take time in the middle of the night to take a call, a primary call, a 911 call, or to take a transfer. It's very difficult to motivate people these days to say, oh, you're not going to get any sleep tonight because it's an 8-hour round trip transfer. It's a 4-hour round trip primary call. It's just different time. So our primary objective in that sense is just try to figure out how we can motivate folks to get back into EMS again. The board is talking about how we could do that, whether it's town halls or, get together of some sort to where we can kind of positively show what EMS is. We certainly want to continue working with fire and local hospitals, to gain their trust also. I think everything's working pretty smoothly, boots on the ground. Be honest with you, just based on the few months that I've been a part of this, it just comes down to compensation. And at the end of the day, it's different than when I started at EMS 25, 30 years ago. You got to pay people to get them to help out. And that's not taking away anything from the folks that are doing it. But we're paying them $50 up to 4 hours, $100 beyond 4 hours. Well, the classification of Schwimm's area is considered frontier. It's beyond rural. And so, there's a lot of things that go into Schwimm's and trying to keep people on staff and motivated. And that's our primary focus right now from the board. We're hoping that we can dig into some of this rural health transformation money. I think it'll help us out quite a bit if we can do that. We're working currently on a budget, an RFP or an RFA for us to display it to the Department of Health. So it makes sense to everybody across the state because we're not the only EMS that's starving and hurting right now. So I would say the pros is just the attitude. I mean, we have very consistent volunteers, and we have some good full-time folks. I think we are moving in the right direction as far as communicating with other capacities throughout the county. So I think we're on the positive move on that end. I think the money is just a primary focus, unfortunately, like it is for everybody and everything. So I'm hoping that we can find a way through that. And EMS is in the top 3 when the Department of Health went around and asked all these entities what they thought the top 3 things were. EMS was in the top 3. So it's certainly a state issue. And we're hoping to be kind of the front runner, as an example, to write RFPs, RFAs, and get some of that money.
Okay. Have you guys talked about some kind of a recruiting campaign to where, because there's the people that would maybe do it, but they just don't know where to go or how to get started?
Yeah, that was just this last week's topic. Was Morgan had brought up how we can get Schwimm's name back out there and see what we can do about recruiting people and having a warm and fuzzy on getting back into EMS. It's a very tough. When I got out of EMS, I made $6 an hour, and that was a full-time job. There's no money in it. You have to love to do it. You have to love to work a primary job and then get up at 2:00 in the morning and go help somebody in time of need. So, it takes a really big person to do that. And if we're being honest, we're running out of those people either due to family, financial obligations, second jobs, all of those things come into play. So I think it's extremely important that we do the recruitment. We are working that angle, but it's also important for us to understand that this is not ever since I've been in EMS, the phrase has always been, we don't do it for the money. And you don't, because there's no money in it. No one's getting rich in EMS. So, and it's a 24/7 gig. So, yeah, we're highly focused on recruitment
Good.
and retention as well.
Well, I do know it's a statewide issue. Talking with other mayors and council members,
Yes, sir.
even legislators, I understand it. So anyway, well, thank you for that.
One of our other big topics is EMS is not to piggyback that, EMS is not considered an essential service. And it's a travesty that EMS is not an essential service. So you get a lot of blocks for money when you're not an essential service. Schwims is working on trying to approach legislators, at least from a county perspective for now, to talk about becoming an essential service. We had our first reading of our budget this last meeting. One thing we saw that looks like it'll happen again this fiscal year is last year we had to take 127,000 out of savings and put us in the black as far as our operating costs. We're going to have to do that again this year. So again, money is a big issue. And prior to 2022, we had asked municipalities to give us money, which they do, and we're grateful for that. In Saratoga, it averages about, prior to 2022, was $30 a person or household. It's now at $34 a household. When you plug in some numbers and you extrapolate some of that data, when you compare it with operational costs and upkeep and all the things that we need to run an EMS, our EMS, you're looking at $43 per person is what the standard should be in 2026. So we're still quite a ways away from that. I'm not saying we're requesting anything at this point, but I am trying to make it clear that at $34, it's just not cutting it. And so I think we're hoping that the Rural Health Transformation Fund can help us keep that dollar wage the same. And that's why that Rural Health Transformation Fund is there. But if we don't get much of that, then we may have to look at what we can ask municipalities for on that. So I kind of want to grease the skids on that conversation. By all means, please let me know from a town's perspective, pros and cons of how we're doing our job. Because we want to do it better. And we want to continue to trust Saratoga as well as the other municipalities. But if you look at a 5-year outlook, it doesn't look good financially, just based on slow reimbursement for Medicare and Medicaid. All the money we lose on Interstate 80, the people we go pick up there on 911 calls, they rarely pay the bill. They're not from here. And so we rarely see that benefit. No, it's our job to go out there to the interstate and save lives. So, that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Any questions? You answer mine.
Thanks for what you're doing,
Thanks,
Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there any new business to be brought before the town? Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'd make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.